June 12, 2023. OIA. Santorini. The caldera glowed under a late afternoon sun, whitewashed walls catching gold light like fresh snow. Couples lingered on terraces, wine glasses catching the same amber hue. Among them were Arjun Mehra, 31, software architect from Bengaluru, and his wife of 9 days, Priya Mehra, 29, a freelance illustrator who had illustrated children's books in 3 languages. They had met 18 months earlier through a mutual friend's art exhibition in Kochi. The connection had been quiet but immediate. Shared silences over sketchbooks, long conversations about light and memory. Their wedding in a small Mangalore temple had been intimate. Jasmine garlands, a steel-gray sea in the background, fewer than 60 guests. Santorini was the escape they both needed after months of family obligations and visa paperwork. That evening they walked the narrow path toward the famous blue domes. Priya wore a simple cream linen dress. Arjun carried her shawl because the wind off the Aegean could turn sharp after sunset. They stopped at a viewpoint where the island dropped straight into the sea. Priya leaned against the low wall, sketching the curve of a distant sailboat in her small leather-bound notebook. "I want to remember this exact blue," she said, not looking up. Arjun watched her hand move. "We have time for every shade." She smiled, the small, private one she saved for when no one else was watching. They ate at a family-run taverna tucked behind the main lane, grilled octopus, fava beans, cold assertico. Conversation drifted to future plans, a house with a studio for her, weekend trips to hill stations, maybe a child in a few years. Nothing urgent. Just the gentle architecture of a shared tomorrow. Around 10:40 p.m., Priya said she needed air. The taverna felt suddenly close. Arjun offered to come with her. She waved him off gently. "Just 5 minutes. The stars are clearer outside." He paid the bill. When he stepped onto the cobbled street 9 minutes later, the path was empty in both directions. No cream dress, no sketchbook, no Priya. He called her name once, twice. The wind carried the sound away. By 11:15 p.m., hotel staff were searching nearby alleys. By midnight, the local police were involved. Arjun walked every path they had taken that day, phone flashlight sweeping stone and shadow. Nothing. The next morning Greek authorities launched a formal search. Coast Guard boats circling the caldera, drones over cliffs, divers checking the water below popular viewpoints. Tourists posted flyers in Fira and IA. Social media groups shared Priya's photograph, a candid shot from their wedding day, her looking sideways at the camera with quiet amusement. Arjun stayed on the island for 3 weeks. He spoke to every waiter, every shopkeeper, every boat captain who had been out that night. No one remembered seeing a woman matching her description after 10:45 p.m. Her passport, credit cards, phone, everything remained in their hotel safe. She had taken only her sketchbook and a small crossbody bag with lip balm and her wedding ring box. She liked to draw wearing only the band. The prevailing theory among investigators was accidental fall. Santorini's cliffs are notorious. Several tourists vanish each year into the sea. But no body surfaced. No clothing. No sketchbook washing ashore on any nearby island. Arjun refused to accept accident. Priya was cautious, sure-footed, afraid of heights in a practical way. She never leaned too far over railings. He pointed this out repeatedly in interviews. The police listened politely, filed reports, eventually classified the case as a missing person with presumed drowning. On July 10, 2023, Arjun flew back to Bengaluru. He carried her sketchbook, found inexplicably on a cafe table 2 days after she vanished, placed there by an unknown person. The last page showed the sailboat, half-finished, the pencil line trailing off into white space. For the next 22 months he lived in parallel worlds, one where he worked, paid bills, answered family calls, the other where he searched. He hired private investigators in Greece, limited results, contacted Interpol, no leads, learned basic Greek phrases, scoured maritime databases for unidentified remains, none matched. He kept Priya's Instagram active, posting throwback photos with captions that were half memory, half quiet plea, still looking. He did not date. He did not remove his ring. Friends worried he was preserving a ghost. His mother begged him to consider closure. He listened, nodded, continued searching. April 8, 2025. Chiang Rai Province, northern Thailand. A small NGO-run pediatric clinic sat on the edge of a rubber plantation. One-story concrete building, tin roof, murals of smiling elephants on the walls. Volunteer doctors rotated every 3 months. Local nurses handled daily care. The clinic served hill tribe villages, Aka, Lahu, Karen, where access to healthcare remained patchy. On that Tuesday morning, a new volunteer arrived unannounced. She gave her name as Maya Thomas, Canadian citizen, pediatric nurse with 3 years' experience in rural outreach. She spoke fluent English, passable Thai, and enough Shan to communicate with patients from across the border. Her paperwork checked out: degree from a Toronto college, references from 2 NGOs in Laos and Cambodia. She worked quietly. She treated ear infections, vaccinated toddlers, taught mothers about hand-washing and nutrition. Children gravitated toward her. She carried colored pencils and let them draw on exam table paper while waiting for medicine. No one thought to question her past. Volunteers came and went. On April 13, 2025, exactly 22 months and 1 day after Priya's disappearance, Arjun was in Chiang Mai on unrelated work, a software conference for Southeast Asian startups. He had extended his stay by 2 days to visit a friend who ran a microfinance project in the north. The friend mentioned the clinic in passing. "They're short on supplies again. I drop off diapers and formula whenever I'm up there." Arjun offered to drive a box the next morning. He had no particular reason beyond restlessness. He arrived at 10:17 a.m. The waiting area was crowded. Mothers with infants, an elderly man with a persistent cough. A nurse directed him toward the storeroom. He set the box down and turned. She was crossing the corridor, carrying a tray of bandages. White coat, hair tied back in a low knot, reading glasses perched on her nose. She glanced up out of habit, registered a stranger, looked down again. Then she froze. Arjun felt the air leave his lungs. "Priya!" The tray hit the floor. Gauze scattered like white birds. She ran. Through the waiting room, past startled patients, up the narrow concrete stairs to the rooftop terrace used for drying laundry. Arjun followed, not shouting, not chasing aggressively, just moving fast enough to keep her in sight. On the roof she stopped at the edge, hands on the railing, breathing hard. The mountains rolled green in every direction. A breeze carried the smell of latex from the trees below. Arjun stayed 10 feet away. "I'm not here to drag you back," he said quietly. "I just need to know you're alive. That's all I've wanted for 22 months. She did not turn. Minutes passed. A child's laugh drifted up from the clinic yard. Finally she spoke, voice low. "I didn't fall. I left." Arjun exhaled slowly. "I know." She turned then. Her face was thinner, sun-weathered, but the eyes were the same, dark, watchful, carrying too much at once. "I planned it for weeks," she said. "Before the wedding. During the wedding. On the plane. Every day after we landed." "Why?" She looked at the horizon. "Because I realized I was disappearing anyway. Not into the sea. Into a life that looked perfect on paper but felt like someone else's story. The wedding was beautiful. You were kind. Everyone was kind. But kindness isn't enough when you wake up every morning wondering who you're supposed to be now that the role is assigned." Arjun absorbed the words without interrupting. "I walked out of the taverna," she continued. "Took a bus to Fira, then another to the port. Paid cash for a ferry to Athens. From there, a budget flight to Istanbul, then onward. I had savings no one knew about. Illustration money I never deposited in our joint account. I changed my name 3 times. Learned new languages. Slept in hostels, then NGO dorms. Eventually I trained as a nurse because I needed purpose that wasn't tied to anyone else's expectations." She paused. "I read about the search. I saw the flyers. I hated myself for the pain I caused. But going back felt like erasing everything I had just begun to become." Arjun nodded once. "I kept your sketchbook." Her expression softened for the first time. "The sailboat. Last page is still blank." A small, broken laugh escaped her. They stood in silence again. Below, clinic staff had started looking for Maya. Someone would come up soon. "I don't expect forgiveness," she said. I don't even expect understanding. I'm sorry. For all of it. Arjun took one step closer. Not to touch. Just to close the distance a little. I spent 2 years trying to solve a mystery that wasn't a mystery, he said. It was a choice. Your choice. I can hate that choice. Or I can accept that you're alive, doing meaningful work, and that has to be enough. She met his eyes. Is it? For today, he said. Maybe not forever. But today, yes. A nurse appeared at the stairwell door, calling Maya. In Thai. Priya, Maya, straightened her coat. I have to go back down. Arjun nodded. I'll leave in an hour. If you want to talk more, I'll be at the cafe across the road until noon tomorrow. After that, I fly home. She hesitated. Arjun. I kept my ring on too, he said quietly. Not because I thought you'd come back. Because it reminded me who I chose once. Even if the choice changed. She gave the smallest nod. Then she walked past him, down the stairs, back into the life she had built without him. Arjun stayed on the roof a few minutes longer, watching clouds move over the mountains. He felt no triumph, no devastation, just an immense, quiet stillness. He drove back to Chiang Mai that afternoon. He did not go to the cafe the next day. Instead, he sent one message through an encrypted app whose number he had memorized but never used. I saw you. You're safe. That's all I needed. Be well, Maya. No reply came. He flew home on April 16th. He told no one what happened, not his parents, not his closest friends. Some secrets are kinder when kept small. In Bengaluru, he returned to work, resumed weekend hikes in Nandi Hills, began drawing again, something he had not done since university. Simple sketches, trees, rooftops, the shape of light on water. One evening in July 2025, he opened Priya's sketchbook to the last page. He did not finish the sailboat. Instead, he drew a single line curving gently across the paper, a horizon, perhaps, or a new beginning. Somewhere in northern Thailand, in a concrete clinic with elephant murals, a woman named Maya still treats children, still carries colored pencils, still pauses sometimes to look at distant mountains and wonder what forgiveness feels like when it arrives without demand. Neither of them knows if their paths will cross again. But both of them, for the first time in 22 months, are breathing without the weight of a question mark.